Well, it's certainly plausible. Hey folks, Marsico X here. Well, first of all, I would very much like to thank the likes of Almozayaf, sorry if I get your name pronounced wrong on Twitter, who brought this to my attention. In their tweet to me, they noticed the similarity of the Pride Trooper's design to this character from DC Comics, who was originally created in 1994. And my thoughts? Well, it's quite clear that there is something to this. Let's talk about it. But first though, we don't know for sure about whether this was the main source for Jiren's conception and the Pride Troopers, but the evidence here is certainly compelling enough to talk about here. By the way, if you wish to find out more about Dragon Ball as well as in-depth what-if stories about it, do subscribe to this channel for more, and of course liking this video. Cheers for that, by the way. So, Almoz showed this to me, the cover for the first issue of the series The World Needs Heroes, a short little 6-comic miniseries from the Dakotaverse. And the cover art by Criss Cross, that's from 1995. And look at that on the cover, and then look at a picture of Jiren. I'm sorry, but the costume's just uncanny. The only difference between Jiren's costume and Jerry Brower's costume, or Donna from the Dakotaverse, are the golden bulkier gloves, which are her trademark. Other than that, this design is identical to what Jiren wears, as well as the rest of the Pride Troopers. Yes, the Pride Troopers. All of them share Jiren's costume because they're on the same team. So, who was responsible for this, I hear you ask? Well, we're not quite sure about the ratio, but certainly, for the Tournament of Power, the job for creating characters for this saga was shared between Toriyama and his student Toyotaro. Now, around about that time, Toyotaro was known for borrowing stuff from Western comics, himself being a very big Marvel fan. And it was a marvel to see his examples of tracing from back in the day. We still remember that, but we must give him credit. Toyotaro has improved since that time of the Tournament of Power and the early chapters of Super, but we certainly did remember, and it certainly did happen, that cannot be denied. And this could yet be another example of things being borrowed from Western comics, this time from the DC stable. Marsico, does the notion stop at just the costume? Well, not necessarily. For Jiren specifically, Toriyama came up with the character personality and person underneath the costume. Jiren's appearance is meant to be the subversion of the Roswell grey alien concept, that little stereotype. A small, short and spindly little grey alien. Instead here, Jiren's a proper beefcake and I love it. It's a really cool idea. But Toriyama was just one piece of the puzzle. Toyotaro really was given a lot of control for this saga in terms of designing characters. 80 characters to come up with for this. They did manage to pull it off, but naturally, you're gonna want some outside help and inspiration, and this might have been one example, because the suit isn't all there is to it. Let's take a brief look at the character from The World Needs Heroes and the Shadow Cabinet and the Dakotaverse, Jerry Brower. But please note, I am not a comic book expert, so if I do make some snafus and I forget some things, do bear with me and correct me in the comments, I am open to that. Jerry Brower's character was first developed by Dwayne McDuffie and Mark Bright in 1994, and her first appearance was in Icon No. 9, Shadow and Doubt. And at first, the design is a little bit different to what we saw in the latter 1996 miniseries here. At first, Donna is a minor character, but just 2 years later, she as well as her partner Blitzen wound up leading the Heroes group for this short 6-comic staple story in 1996, to which this finalized design was shown. She's quite the enthusiastic individual, Jerry, and in terms of power, it's quite straightforward. Superhuman strength and stamina, as well as invulnerability. Now where does that seem familiar? Jiren is a brick wall, incredibly powerful and incredibly durable, just like Donna. And now it's just dawned on me, given her backstory, Jerry's, if you're a World War II person, you'll get what I mean there. As for the Pride Troopers themselves, they are very much a band of heroes with a simple goal: to save those in need. Pretty much the epitome of justice. Also, the fact that Donna has a female partner in Blitzen, that's neat. Good for them. But the point of the video is this. Toyotaro, we know, is a comic book fan, and I could imagine that either this was lifted straight out of a very obscure series of an obscure character that nobody would get, or it could just be a coincidence. I can't be sure whether it is actually something that was lifted out of it, but The example here is really telling, it's really close. We all know he likes his comics, and is inspired by them. More ways than one. And granted, Donna's costume originally and currently is different again, but this design from the Heroes miniseries is almost spot on to Jiren and the Pride Troopers, a band of heroes. So all I gotta say? Naughty, naughty! But then again, a simple red and black costume, Masako? Surely that's a coincidence. I mean, it easily could be. However, the simplistic nature might have been beneficial in terms of making up time for a very tight deadline. All you need to do is add some gloves and boots, which differ enough. That should be enough to slip under the radar, and also lend a nice little nod to the Super Sentai connection that Dragon Ball has had over the years. A lot of the Super Sentai squadrons do have white gloves and boots, so there you go. But at the end of the day, I don't know whether this is going to be confirmed or not. I really am not sure whether we will actually hear about this from Toyotaro, but I just thought I would share this to you, and again, Almoz, thank you so much for bringing this to my attention. But what do you folks think? Do you think this is a straight up copy of a DC hero? Or is this all too speculative and could easily be a coincidence? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!